On this episode of China Uncensored, who says spies need to be undercover? Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. Can I just say what an awesome job the Chinese Communist Party is doing in Xinjiang? I mean, it's basically like Cheers.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name.
Only they don't just know your name. They know your face, too. I mean, between the convenience police stations on every corner and the vocational training camps that promote stability and employment through the use of police batons, electric cattle prods, handcuffs, and pepper spray, I'm sure the ethnic Uyghurs of Xinjiang feel very safe and well cared for by the Chinese Communist Party. Of course, it's possible that some don't. But not to worry, the Communist Party has a solution for them, too. Because even though there's all this fancy, newfangled surveillance, facial recognition, DNA scanning, yada yada technology, the Communist Party hasn't forgotten the importance of good old-fashioned people-to-people connections. And by connections, I mean spying. That's why the party has ordered 1 million Han Chinese to move into the villages and homes of Uyghurs across Xinjiang. Now I know what you're thinking. That's a terrible idea. Won't that just lead to overcrowding? Don't worry. The party is smarter than you. It just so happens that with all those Uyghurs in voluntary vocational training camps, there's a lot of empty beds and broken homes to fill. The Communist Party's program is called United as One Family. And keeping with the family theme, the Uyghurs are required to call their guests relatives, brothers and sisters, big brothers and sisters. And the Xinjiang Communist Youth League has posted a bunch of photos showing how much all the Uyghurs love this plan. Whether it's sharing a bed with your 2 Han Chinese sisters, reading together Xi Jinping's report for the 19th National Congress of the Chinese Communist Party, or making sure the kids are learning Mandarin Chinese instead of their native language. There are actually many photos of people sharing beds together, which I guess is an important part of being united as one family. And hey, here's a bit of friendly advice for all you Uyghurs watching from Xinjiang. The government reportedly tried to promote drinking and smoking because people who didn't drink or smoke, such as devout Muslims, were deemed suspicious. So when your big brother offers to share a drink with you, take it. I'm kidding, of course. There's no way Uyghurs in Xinjiang are watching this. They're too busy studying Marxism and Xi Jinping thought. But before you start hating on the Han Chinese who are in Xinjiang occupying people's homes, you should know that many of them love the Communist Party's program just as much as the Uyghurs do. I mean, they volunteered for it. You know, like how Uyghurs are volunteering to be in those concentration camps. Concentration camps in the sense that they have to really concentrate hard since they're learning all those new job skills. But who are the Han Chinese being dispatched to stay in Uyghur homes for days or weeks at a time? At first, they were mostly Communist Party members. But now, since the party has run low on those, the latest wave of 1 million relatives has been low to mid-level civil servants. Imagine being a doctor in a state-run hospital and then being told part of your job is now spying on people every month in the faraway deserts of Xinjiang. Of course, some of the Han Chinese truly believe the party propaganda that they're doing a good thing and creating ethnic harmony with their homestays, like it's Habitat for Humanity except with more spying. For others, well, according to anthropologist Darren Byler, who wrote this Chinophile article, 2 of those Han Chinese I interviewed told me that they or their friends who had been asked to go down to the villages would have lost their jobs if they had refused to participate in the monitoring program, but they also said that by participating, they had been guaranteed promotions upon the completion of their tour of duty. And any Chinese people who express sympathetic views towards the Uyghurs might be in trouble, like Zhang Haitao, an ethnic Han Chinese who spent years criticizing the policies in Xinjiang on social media. But at the end of last year, he was arrested and prosecuted for subversion and espionage. His punishment? 20 years in prison. Meanwhile, Uyghurs who have these people staying in their homes feel afraid, stripped of their dignity, and like every aspect of their life is a political test. So clearly, both Han Chinese and Uyghurs love the United as One Family program. But perhaps some big brothers and sisters may wonder, what am I supposed to be doing here? Fortunately, the Communist Party has created a helpful manual for you. Oh, look, the two hands holding each other make a heart. This can't be sinister. After all, how sinister can it be if it's from Shutterstock? Back to the daily routine for the Han Chinese volunteers. In the mornings, you can take your Uyghur host to sing patriotic songs at the daily flag-raising ceremonies outside the village party office. At night, take them to classes on Xi Jinping thought. The rest of the day is your typical mix of watching state-approved television shows, singing more patriotic songs, and of course, asking questions. For example, you can ask them, do you have any relatives living abroad? Have you ever attended a mosque outside the village? How's your Arabic? And if any of their answers felt incomplete or if they seemed to be hiding anything, the children should be questioned next. See, the Communist Party is even thinking of the children. The Chinese regime has declared Islam a contagious disease. So while these Uyghurs might act friendly and secular, they might secretly be trying to hold on to their religion and culture. Here's how the party says you can find out. Offer a member of your host family a cigarette or a sip of beer. Provide random bags of ground meat for dinner. Find ways to make physical contact with members of the opposite sex. If any of that makes them uncomfortable, you should report any resistance to the relevant authorities. That way, your host can be sent off to one of the many vocational training camps to receive training on how they should ditch their religion for Marxism and Xi Jinping thought. Oh, and here's another tip for dealing with resistance. Try to convince your new family that you already know everything about them. The manual instructs the relatives to tell their little brothers and sisters that they have been monitoring all internet and cell phone communication that is coming from the family, so they should not even think about lying when it comes to their knowledge of Islam and religious extremism. Look, this policy is incredibly disturbing. The Chinese Communist Party is creating a system where, in the name of ethnic harmony, they are pitting Han Chinese and Uyghurs against each other. Of course, ethnic harmony is a good thing, but the way to get there is probably not to force one group of people to help destroy the families and communities of another group of people. China Digital Times translated this article from a Han Chinese student in Xinjiang. He talks about living under the growing surveillance state, watching his Uyghur teachers slowly disappear into the camps, and about how no one could talk about it for fear that they would also be reported to the party. That student realized that he was being trained to be part of the security apparatus and managed to leave the country. But most people in Xinjiang aren't so lucky, especially the Uyghurs. Like this Chinophile article says, citizens of totalitarian states are nearly always compelled to act in ways that deny their ethical obligations. No one is allowed to think about what they're doing. I know this all sounds like so much fun for everyone. So between all the hair combing, making probably non-halal dumplings, and putting up pictures of Xi Jinping, the Han big brothers and sisters and their Uyghur hosts have important work to do for their country. So what do you think of the Communist Party's plan to force Han Chinese to live with Uyghurs? Leave your comments below. And now is the moment you've all been waiting for, when I answer questions from a member of the China Uncensored 50 Cent Army, the fans who make this show possible by contributing through the crowdfunding website Patreon. Karen Joshi asks, could the People's Republic of China ever split up like the Soviet Union? A very interesting and politically sensitive question. As this lovely GIF shows, the territory of what we call China has changed a lot over the centuries. If or when the Communist Party falls, the reaction could be different in different places, and there are some big question marks over certain regions. Xinjiang is known by Uyghurs as East Turkestan. Some people there might want to break off into their own country. Same goes for Tibet, although doing that would not be as easy as it sounds. Other places are hard to say. Would Taiwan want to rejoin a communist-free China? Would Taiwan lead a communist-free China? Or would Taiwan get to be finally a country? What about Hong Kong and Macau? So it could be similar to the fall of the Soviet Union, where some of the outlying parts do break off to become independent countries. Or the non-People's Republic might survive largely intact. But either way, there will still be a very large country that calls itself China. Thanks for your question. And if you'd like me to answer your question, join up in the China Uncensored 50-cent Army. We have a very low mortality rate. And for only $1 or more per episode, we'll give you some cool perks, and you'll have the chance to send me questions that I could answer right here on the show. So, head over to patreon.com/China Uncensored to learn more. Thanks for watching this episode of China Uncensored. Once again, I'm your host, Chris Chappell. See you next time.